And just as we told you, you need to begin to look at what you have. The fruit in your fridge or on your kitchen table. Now, following the Senate's decision on Wednesday to criminalize the use of chemicals to ripen fruits, Nigerians are reacting to this public health threat, with many calling for urgent action to stop this trend and punish those perpetrating the act. Arise News speaks to Nigerians.
Don't be surprised that the banana you took yesterday, or the pineapple that you squeezed yesterday or you ate, or even pawpaw, and the one you're going to take this afternoon has been contaminated by this chemical.
Fruit ripening is a process by which fruit is artificially controlled with the use of chemicals. It's generally done for climacteric fruits such as mango, papaya, banana, and so on to achieve faster ripening. However, there are health implications.
I've experienced where I bought banana. I think they use cardboard to ripen it. Each of them has their own side effects on my own body, but the banana one is the worst. Like banana, the moment you put cardboard, highest 2 to 3 days, it's okay, and they will sell it. It's a very strong chemical, because when you even put it in sock away in toilets, it dissolves whatever it is inside there, it dissolves it immediately.
Fruit sellers sometimes use ethylene gas, ethaphone, and calcium carbide, being the most commonly used, which health experts say is potentially dangerous to possibly ripen fruits.
I've noticed food poison. In one of the days, I tried to patronize getting fruits. So I don't know. And my children, I noticed after deworming them, after 3 months, I will still think of deworming them again, whereas I monitor their meal. So I think it's high time the government checkmates what these people are doing.
The preservation of pomo with formalin, which is used for dead bodies. Preserving dead bodies, and carbide, all these things we read and know that is dangerous to human health. And these are the problems we have in this current generation.
The rains have also been poor this year, which raises questions on how these sellers get their fruits.
These days we have noticed that rainfall is on the low key. We have never noticed the rainfall much this year, and it didn't really started up this year much earlier.
When you are buying some of these things, not even fruit alone, if you are buying anything and there is no flies around that area, mind you, that area or that particular food or food they sell has what we call chemical content inside.
Due to the public health risk, not just to the average Nigerian alone, the Senate has therefore summoned the Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control to appear before its relevant committees and explain what the agency is doing to curb the dangerous trend.
It is a very sad thing to happen to a country. People are dying, dropping dead. People are having kidney failures. People are having heart issues. And you don't know they are associated with just the banana, the pawpaw, and the pineapples and things that you buy, maybe by the roadside, or you send somebody to the market to go and buy for you.
Safeguarding public health is everyone's responsibility. This includes consumers, the government, and regulatory agencies. If the Senate passes this bill, perpetrators will face the wrath of the law. Olije Wapera, Arise News.
We continue our conversation from yesterday. We're joined now by clinical pharmacist Dr. Sunday Olatunde to further discuss this ugly trend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You know what ordinarily should be healthy? I mean, when we're told to eat fruits, eat as much fruits as you can, vegetables, legumes, and what have you, and all of that.
Yes.
Now, our fruits are an endangered species. How deadly is this? Carbide and what have you, chemicals in ripening fruits. And now we're hearing that paracetamol is actually another agent that they're using. Talk to us about this development, please.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on the program tonight. Yeah. It's quite disheartening to know that people use some artificial, ripening agents to actually ripen the fruits we buy, whether by the roadside or in the open markets and all that. Unfortunately, Nigeria has a very huge informal economy, and that's why regulation becomes a very big problem. Of course, what happened in the hinterlands and all that, and how people get their fruit, nobody regulates it. In many countries, you can't get anything to the market if you are not checked before then. And that's where the problem is. Okay. Talking about use of carbide, use of formalin, and use of some other artificial ripening agents or some other things we use to preserve some certain things. Let's take formalin, for example, which is a chemical that we normally use in the laboratory to preserve biological specimens. Biological, such as even dead body in the morgues and the mortuary, we use it for it. However, carcinogenic, formalin is a carcinogenic agent. What I mean is that it can cause cancer. It must not be swallowed into the system of a human being. But we see these days that frozen foods are now being preserved with formalin. And we buy this. And because of a large, huge informal economy that we run, that cannot come under the purview of regulation. And that makes this kind of practice to actually thrive among us. So a lot of people have got cases of cancer that you cannot explain, kidney failure that you cannot explain, liver failure that you cannot explain, leukemia that you cannot even explain where it comes from, just because of consumption of this kind of materials. I want to actually advise. Okay, before I go to advice, ethylene is also another, let me say, calcium carbide, which is a kind of chemical also that we use in the laboratory. And when you subject, calcium carbide to some certain chemical reactions, you get some chemicals such as arsenic acid, which is an heavy metal that is quite toxic and has some neurological, effects. It could as well also provoke kidney failure if it is ingested. Calcium carbide actually is brought into the country ordinarily to carry out some, laboratory experiments, and in some cases in wedding. That's where you want to cut, metals because of acetylene gas that it can produce. But what we find is that some people, when they want to make some brisk businesses with, fruit selling and all that, in the hinterlands, even in the cities, they get this particular chemical as powder. And when they just sprinkle it on the, load of fruit that they want to ripen, within 1 or 2 days, it is well ripened. And consumption of this is actually not too good for anybody's health. It can provoke kidney failure and the rest of what we have mentioned.
I mean, by the time you're having cancer and the rest of them diagnosed, probably too late. Are there early signs, symptoms that one can even begin to look out for, if you consume all of this terrible products?
Thank you. Thank you very much for this germane question. It's interesting that, this does not happen just abruptly. That if I consume it today, I come down with the symptoms today. It is accumulation, little by little. If you are an unsuspecting member of the public, and where you normally get your fruit, you have been taking it over and over. These particular, agents continue to accumulate in your system. Let's take a look at what happens when we ingest anything that is strange. The first thing, it goes to the liver. The liver finds it as a kind of strange object and difficult to digest, to break down. We call it metabolism. In the process of this metabolism, the liver itself got a kind of a shot from it, and the liver starts malfunctioning on its own. But when the liver is done, it pushes it into the bloodstream. In the bloodstream, continues to damage the cells of the blood and all that, and the kidney will receive it last in order to excrete it out of the system. All these organs that have a role to play, one role or the other to play, to break these particular agents down, will have their own damages done to them. It may not happen immediately, but over time, when you take it, you find a situation where the kidney may start malfunctioning. We call it kidney failure, and the liver also could get its own dose of it. Then for some people, of course, the cases of cancer is on the rise. And inquisitive minds have been asking, what exactly is the cause for cancer and all that? And nobody, even among scientists, can come out to say this is the exact cause. Except some few types of cancer, you can say, okay, this is the cause, like a breast cancer, cervical cancer, and all those ones. But other ones, you cannot really tell what exactly the problem is. For example, leukemia, cancer of the blood. When it happens, you'll be wondering, where is it coming from? But if anybody consumes calcium carbide in insufficient doses, the person may likely come down with leukemia. So, and that's where some of the cases that we have in the hospital, the cases of rising cases of cancer, that are coming from because of what we consume.
So, Dr. Olatunde,
Yes,
it's, I mean, I'm just imagining how our viewers are feeling right now. You know, I'm thinking, should we just go off fruits, go off pomo, and
well, this is not to scare anybody.
But this is definitely not to scare
create
anybody.
Awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, in the event that, you know, over time you've consumed carbide-laced fruits,
yes,
or vegetables or whatever, is there a way that you can actually flush your system?
Is there redemption?
Is there redemption before it gets, you know, too bad?
Okay.
Can you detoxify?
Detoxification could help, but to a limited extent. There are some of these chemicals we're talking about. They should not be found in the body of a living being in the first instance. So I think that's where our emphasis should be, and the emphasis should also be placed on how to identify them. Because prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
We are all of us, we don't have the same level of resistance to challenges. Some people will get it at the first time, they are done. Some people, it will take some time before they get, before they are done. So what we need to actually take a look at will be that to prevent. How do you identify?
Yes.
That kind of fruit that is probably, you know, ripened with artificial ripening agent. When you look at a certain fruit, let's say banana, for example. And banana is actually one of those, you know, fruits that they normally use this thing for. You see the kind of banana you are seeing on the screen now.
Green banana.
Yes, it's green.
Yes.
It also has some black patches.
Yes.
Okay, this may have been ripened, but not with artificial, you know, ripening agent. The one ripened with artificial ripening agent, you will see it uniformly yellow.
I said it.
You will hardly even see those black patches you are seeing there.
Okay.
You will see it uniformly yellow.
So this yellow
good.
Okay.
bananas that we're seeing now.
This yellow we are seeing is normally ripened, not with artificial, because you are seeing some
black
patches there. Those one will be yellow, like as though it was
very smooth, like it did not drop from
yes. Tree. And when you take a look at texture, you know, ripening is a process of decay.
Right.
I hope you understand that. We understand that ripening is a process of decay. When a certain thing is ripening, it's decaying gradually. But when you see a freshly ripened fruit but has not lost its texture, the texture is still as firm, as though it is as fresh as when it's just brought out of the farm. Know that that one is artificially ripened. Okay, you can also perceive some smell because calcium carbide has a garlic odor. If you put it close to your mouth, or when you taste it, it's not tasting natural. You see, it's causing some kind of salivation, more than necessary in your mouth. Just suspect. So
just to wrap this up again and to highlight the texture, you need to check the texture of your fruit.
The weight.
Yeah, the weight.
Yes, it's going to be heavier than the one that is naturally ripened at that same stage.
The look.
Yes.
But that's when it comes to fruits. When it comes to other things like beef, fish,
cow leg,
yes,
you know.
How do we check those ones?
I must say, formalin, you know, preserved biological agents. Let's say such as meat and others. Proteins. You see, you don't see flies around them, and that's why when you get to the mortuary, you see that you don't see flies around the dead body because formalin will chase them away.
I wish it could not be that graphic, but let's very quickly. The issue of pregnant women. When a woman is pregnant, she's advised to eat loads of fruits and all of that.
Yes, you are correct.
What does she need to do?
The pregnant woman needs to be on the lookout. Take a look at the little education we have dropped today. What do you need to look out for? A fruit that is uniformly ripened is not for you then. A fruit that has the freshness of a fruit that is just brought out of the farm today or yesterday, yet it is well yellow and well ripened. Please run away. Suspect and run away.
When yellow is made to look bad.
Okay. That's I know we need to go.
Yes.
But I mean, you have linked this with rising cases of illnesses we're seeing in the hospital.
Yes.
As a medical body, are doctors, pharmacists, are they taking this up at all? Are you having this conversation with the regulatory bodies such as NAFDAC?
Okay.
Or you think it's not concerning enough to be a national emergency?
It is exactly.
So what are doctors doing about, I mean, you see these cases, what are you doing about them?
I must say, good enough that I I've been one of the kind of a regular guest on NAFDAC and Your Health.
Okay.
And issues like this are actually come up on some of their programs which are spoken about. But I think severally, the best we can do is this public education and awareness. But I will advise that now that they are also hearing me and listening, and if anytime I have opportunity on their program, I will still speak about this.
Yes,
the thing is, they need to have collaboration with National Orientation Agency so that this message can be taken to the grassroots. Because this thing happens like normal powder. There are many things people use to ripen fruit, but normal powder that people do, because those who do this don't even know the name. They don't know that it is calcium carbide. They will just introduce it to them as a normal powder and they put it in the fruit. And that happens.
Dr. Sunday Olatunde,
thank you very much.
We have to say thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight. Dr. Olatunde is a clinical pharmacist.